really nuts about their money. They want their money.
To watching TV with them smoking crack, to in the trap house.
And me and Ben were scared shitless about what the fuck was about to happen next. First 5 days we got kicked out, we went straight to the dope house and we stayed there for 5 days straight. We did not leave. We just smoked crack for 5 days. And they knew us there because we had always had so much money that they're like, yeah, we'll front you that. We'll front you that. We'll front you that. We didn't even have money. I think Ben ends up selling the Tahoe that shit the bed, like for parts or something, or just as a chunk of junk. And got a little bit of money that got us some more crack. And before we knew it, we're just going back and forth, going to see James and Maddie and coming back to the trap house. And, you know, my dad's, he's got a life, he's got a job. So we'll have James with us. And we would never take him into the trap house because they had a lot of drive-bys. Like if you look at this house, there's just riddled with bullet holes everywhere. So I was always afraid if I brought him into the trap that we would have a drive-by and he would get shot. So we would go get our dope and we'd go drive. We would just drive around in the Tahoe. James would be in the back seat in his car seat. And we would just smoke crack. I would be in the front seat, Ben would be driving, and we'd just drive around Memphis smoking crack. And our friends were all prostitutes. And if we didn't have enough money, they had money because they were turning tricks so they could get more crack. So, you know, they'd hop on in the truck and we'd all smoke crack together. And we'd go to different traps together. So it would me, Ben, James, and like 3 or 4 prostitutes hanging out in this Tahoe or whatever it was. I think we in the U-Haul at first, and then we end up finding the $700 truck that we managed to buy. And sorry, I'm jumping around all over the place, I think.
How do you know where all the trap houses are?
Just kind of word of mouth. Ben showed me the first one in South Memphis, which is the one he used to frequent before we were even together. And then, you know, we made money. Dope boys like money. So even though we were the only white people out there, they loved us. They brought us in like family. And also, you don't want to be outside a trap house if you're white. One, it's an eyesore. Like the cops know if that's a house on that street and there's 2 white folks outside the window, you know, everybody knows what's going on. So me and Ben had this thing and we would walk up and we'd knock on the window and go, back door. And that meant, we're here, go open the back door to let the white folks in. And the back door was barricaded. It had a pole or like a 2x4 on 3 different levels, or maybe it was 2 different levels, to keep the cops or buy them a little bit of time for when the cops kicked in the door. So we'd say back door and we'd walk in and that was it. And we'd stay in there for a little while because they don't want white folks going in and out of the place. So we would sit in there for hours. And in those hours, we would see the prostitutes come in, the other dope boys come in. So we would network. It was like drug networking. So we'd meet the other dope boys. We'd meet the other prostitutes who would, you know, introduce us to other dope boys or, you know, it was just like it's a big drug networking system.
Did you see any of the stuff going on inside the trap house that Ben was talking about earlier?
So Ben was, we did see a lot of bad stuff together. I did not see a murder happen. Luckily, he did. But, you know, we were held at gunpoint together on multiple occasions. We were kidnapped together on one occasion with James. All of those started in the trap house. You know, we would...
Why were you kidnapped?
So we owed a dope boy a lot of money.
How much?
God, a couple of grand. I can't remember exactly how much it was. I know it was a couple of grand, though. And everybody knew that we sold firearms parts. We didn't sell the firearm, but we sold parts for the firearms. And, you know, around the gangsters, that's real, you know, that's real cool. Everybody loves that. So everybody wanted to be friends with us. Everybody was, you know, happy to have Ben and Jess over, you know, oh, they can give you shit for your AR and they can get you tannerite. And so everybody was very free with their with their fronts, with their letting us borrow drugs to pay them back later. And this one guy just did it a little too much, and we didn't have the money to pay him back. So we kind of actually ran from this guy for a little while because some of those guys are like really nuts about their money. They want their money. And I didn't know what they were going to do to us, what they were going to do to my 2-year-old. So we kind of ran for a little while. And there's a lady named Vicky. And we knew Vicky from the streets. And she had just gotten, or she had like a little apartment on another side of town. I knew we wouldn't be around anybody. And they let us move in for a little bit. That didn't last very long. And we called the same dope boy because when you want crack, you want crack. Like, you don't care if you're going to get shot. You want to hit that crack. So we called him again. And we were like, will you please just front us just like one more time? And he comes there and he picks us up and he gives us some crack. And it's me, our little 2-year-old James, and Ben, and we're in the back seat. He gives us a crack and we smoke it and we just drive around for a little bit, and he doesn't take us back to Vicky's house. It was a very nice kidnapping, I will say that, because he had kids of his own. So I know that he didn't want to hurt James or anything like that. He just wanted his fucking money. So he's like, we're not going back to that house. Y'all are coming with us. And so me and Ben are like, like we're in the back seat, just like mouthing to each other, what the fuck is going on? And he does, in fact, take us to his mom's house. I'm guessing maybe that's where he was staying at that point. And he takes us to his mom's house in Raleigh. And we go and we have to stay the night. And it's just like this little tiny room with mattresses on the floor. And they're like smoking so much weed. Like, there's so much smoke in this room, I can barely see my hand. I don't want anything to do with weed at this point. Like, all I want is crack. But I'm not trying to ask for anything. I'm just trying to get my kid out of there. But I know that I can't say anything. And I'm afraid that if I do say, will you please not smoke so much around my kid, I'm afraid that, you don't know what these guys are going to do. So I just had to sit there with my mouth fucking shut and just act like everything was okay. And I was just like, James, are you having fun? And I just had to keep that smile on, and I had to make it seem like we were just having a sleepover. And me and Ben were fucking scared shitless about what the fuck was about to happen next. And we stay the night there. They smoke. He makes a couple of serves, and his girlfriend stays in the room to make sure we don't leave. And we do fall asleep there. We wake up the next morning, and they take us out of his mom's house, and we're just driving around again. And the whole time, me and Ben are like just fiending for crack. We just want crack so bad. But I don't want to say anything because I don't want to risk anything happening to my son. So we just keep our mouths shut. And he's driving, and he turns around and is like, so what about that money? And so Ben like gets on his phone, and I don't know how he does it. Ben does this all the time. He just gets like, he'll fall in a pile of shit and come out with $100 bill. Like, that's the shit Ben does. And he just gets on the phone and starts texting customers or answering emails or something. It ends up selling bump stocks, because we were like the number 1 distributor or the number 2 distributor of bump stock slide fires that year, because this was right after the casino thing happened. So everybody wanted them before they were going to get banned. And Ben ends up selling like however many, I don't even remember how many he's told, but we were able to get this guy his money, and he let us go. We were all okay. Nobody got shot or murdered, but for a minute there, I didn't know what the fuck was about to happen to us.
So this went from never happens in front of the kid to watching TV with him smoking crack to in the trap house to getting kidnapped.
Mm-hmm.
And he's 2 years old?
2 years old. And it just spiraled.
Shit.
Yeah. It was horrible. And it went quick. It was just boom, 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 like worse, 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 worse. And it just kept going.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.